So we're having three types of consumers. One is what? Herbivores. Another one is carnivore. What is
Carnivores and omnivores.
third one is omnivores. So now in that, a special type of consumers which are extremely small, and as well as a special type of producers which are extremely small. The both producers and as well as consumers which are very small in size. We used to call it as what? Planktons. Yes or no? So now if we'll take here these planktons, again we used to be classified into two types. One is what, guys? Please. Phytoplanktons, and another one is
Zooplanktons.
zooplanktons. So phytoplankton example is what? Algae, and zooplanktons we can say example is protozoa. Yes or no? So now coming to the decomposers. So as we know, decomposers is also one kind of consumers, but they will consume what, guys? A dead and decaying matter of plants and animals. Is it yes or no? Please respond. So dead and decaying matter of plants and animals, they has to start consuming. So now in this, what they will do? So they will secrete the some kind of like acids, and they will convert the complex organic substances into simpler substances, and they will use or they will drink that substances. So later they will use the some amount of in the substances for their survival, and remaining they will be mixed with the soil and air and as well as atmosphere to make it more fertile. Is it yes or no? That is what we studied in the last class. Yes or no, guys? So they will make some secretions of their body surface, which will start decomposing this a complex organic matter into simpler substances, and it will liberate some kind of components. What is that components, guys? Anybody? During the conversion, it is used to produce something. That is what I said in yesterday's class. What is that? So it is used to liberate ammonia. It is used to liberate carbon dioxide and etc. When during the converting, a complex organic compounds. Complex organic compounds into simpler substances. So that is what it is used to happen. So now in this, what they will do, they will observe only some of these simpler substances. That is for what? For their own maintenance and their own survival. So remaining and all, what will happen? Remaining and all, what will happen, guys? So remaining, they will release into the soil, water and air, and it will make it. It will start producing, and it will be helpful as a good fertile to grow the plants back again. So that is why they will help. That is why we can say decomposers will help in recycling of materials in the where? In the ecosystem. Is it yes or no? So that is the importance of decomposers. Now, if you'll see, as we know, they are extremely small. Some of the bacteria and as well as fungi. So now some of the bacteria which are under this decomposers. What is the name of this, guys? Anybody? So some of the bacteria which is capable to make it this one, which will capable to decompose. So what is the name we used to call it as? I told you in yesterday's class. The bacteria which will involve in the decomposition of the decaying matter, we used to call some name of that bacteria. Anybody? Which will act as a decomposer. Please check your notebooks and tell me. Yes? Do you remember this word? Nobody is remembering. Yesterday also I told you. So some of the bacteria which will be work as a decomposer, not fungi either. So some of the bacteria which act as a decomposers, we used to call it as putrefying bacteria. As I told you or not, Arvind, yesterday, Kevin, but nobody is remembering. That is what it is. So that's fine. So this is only we used to call it as putrefying bacteria, putrefying, putrefying bacteria, which will act as a decomposer. So along with that, fungi also will be there. So that is why we can say the bacteria and the fungi are the decomposers. So now in our today's class, we'll continue what is the importance of these decomposers, and later we will go with the food cycle and food web. Now, first of all, before going to show that, as I told you, they are extremely small in size. Now, I will show you this bacteria, how they are present. For example, if you magnify around 1 lakh times, almost, if you magnify the decomposed or dead plant and any kind of animal, then we can see which is helping in recycling of material. How it will be looks like, I will show you. So that is will help you to see that how the bacteria or fungi will be present. Both I will show you. One is bacteria, another one is fungi. Fungi you can see in our daily life. Yes or no, guys? Fungi, can you able to see or not? It's a bread mold and all. Bread mold in our home, it will be fungi only. Correct or not? Yes, please respond. Bread mold, if you notice it in our home, so the greenish color one, it is keep on cultivating on the bread. Is it yes or no? If you'll expose for the atmosphere, it will be keep on growing. So now those ones you can see here, this is the picture. One is like around 1 lakh times we used to be magnified bacteria, and another one is the 300 times we used to be magnified the fungi. So this is the structures of fungi, how they will be, and this is the structure of bacteria, which will be helping in recycling. Purima, everybody please respond. So bacteria, which will decompose dead plant and animals and help in recycling materials. Same way, the fungi, which will decompose dead plants and animals and help in the recycling of materials. So this is only we used to call as decomposers. Is it okay? Everybody? So this is the bacteria, extremely small, around 85,000 times magnified image, and this is the 300 times magnified image. So we can say this is fungi and this is the bacteria. Is it okay, guys? Everybody? So now this is what it is. Now let us comes to here. What is the importance of decomposers? So as we know, decomposers help in where, guys? Main thing. So decomposers will help in recycling of dead bodies. Dead bodies of whom, guys? Dead bodies of whom? Dead bodies of both plants and as well as animals. So now, if including humans, if we will die, or else any plant will die, any animal will die, then these decomposers will help in putting back the various elements of the dead plants and animals, and they will back into the soil. They will make it, they will start decomposing, they will start recycling these plants and animals, dead plants and animals, and they will convert it into a simplest substances. In that, they will send it back to the soil, air, and water for reuse by the producers like crop plants. So that is the importance of decomposers. So if you take here the fertility of the soil, you might be remember land, if you are cultivating continuously, so that it may lose or else it may become unfit or else unfertile land, means in the sense of does not having the required minerals for the growing of any kind of plant. So that is why if you notice it, these bacteria or fungi, by decomposing these dead plants and animals, they will secreting a certain kind of required minerals, whatever it is needed for the cultivating plants or crop plants, everything they will be sent back to the soil, air, and atmosphere, like in the form of, for example, nitrogen you can take. So nitrogen, it is needed so that plants cannot absorb through the soil. So that what? Ammonia it is releasing. So ammonia, what is happening? It will be absorbed by the plants along with the water. Carbon dioxide they are releasing. It is entering into the atmosphere so that plants will absorb for the photosynthesis reaction. So like that, whatever it is, once the dead bodies of plants and animals is decomposed, so different kind of minerals, whatever is required to cultivate the plants, they will send it back into the soil, water, and as well as air to make it reuse. That is the more important. Understanding? Reuse by whom, guys? Is it by animals or producers? Anybody? Is it by animals and producers? Reusing, who will reuse? Reuse only by producers. Understand, guys? So why they only will use this all the minerals, whatever it is, fertility land and everything, for what it is, to make the food by the process of photosynthesis. So that is why we used to say, so this will help in recycling the different kind of things which will help to grow the plants. That is what we can say, reuse by the producers like crop plants. So that is the reason this maintains the fertility of the soil, and the soil would continue to support crops again and again and again. That is the very important of this, a main important of decomposers. So decomposers will help the soil to become again and again fertility and continue to produce the crop production. That is the reason what is the main importance of decomposers. So now, for example, let us take one example and study. Now, if we take here decomposers, like, for example, like take a bacteria, we already know, putrefying bacteria and fungi, they will decompose fungus, dead plants and animal bodies, and they will convert into what? Ammonia. Is it yes or no, guys? What is the products will come? Anybody, please respond. They will produce as what? They will produce ammonia. So you already know that ammonia formula, NH3. Is it yes or no? So most of the nitrates like urea and all, they are having ammonia only. So they will produce the ammonia, and even so many kind of minerals and all, because it's all everything what? Organic matter only. So you have so many kind of organic substances used to produce this. So this ammonia will be converting whatever the ammonia released by this putrefying bacteria and fungi, which will be converting into nitrates. Do you understand, Ra? Please respond. Which will be converting into what? Nitrates by using the nitrifying bacteria. For example, groundnuts. How many of you know groundnuts? Groundnuts, somebody will be there. Who is that? Tell me. Groundnuts roots. Groundnut cannot absorb the nitrogen, so that on the surface of the roots of the groundnut, somebody will present. That is only used to called as bacteria, which will help to fixation of nitrogen. Anybody can say what is that? Please respond. Groundnut plant, some bacteria is present which will help to fixing the nitrogen from the soil, because plants cannot absorb the nitrogen from the atmosphere, and as well as some plants cannot absorb through the water and soil also. So that is why some bacteria will be present. It's not the putrefying bacteria. Putrefying bacteria which will help to formation of ammonia. So these ammonia will be converting into nitrates by using some other bacteria. For example, if you take the groundnuts, it is having rhizobium bacteria. You might be heard. Have you heard, guys? Please respond. Rhizobium bacteria, which is present in the on the roots of groundnut, which will help to convert ammonia into nitrates to help the groundnut plant. So, but then how the bacteria is benefited, sir? It is providing shelter to the rhizobium bacteria. So that is what. So if you take here some bacteria again, so that is only we used to call as who will convert the dead bodies of plants and animals into the simplest organic matter, we used to call as putrefying bacteria. Everybody clear, guys? What we used to call? Please respond. Putrefying bacteria. Now, these ammonia who will convert into nitrates by another some bacteria, that bacteria like rhizobium which is present in the groundnut plants and all, we used to call it as nitrifying bacteria. Please all of you remember. Nitrifying bacteria. What is a nitrifying bacteria? Anybody can say? Tarani? Persini? Which will convert the ammonia into nitrates. That is only we used to call it as nitrifying bacteria present in the soil and as well as under the roots of some plants. So if you notice it here, these nitrates act as a fertilizer in the soil and they are again absorb the plants for their growth. That is what you need to remember, because nitrogen, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Nitrogen is a major one which will help to grow the plants. That is what it will be absorbed by the soil. So only due to the presence of decomposers only, the various nutrient elements were initially taken by the plants from the soil and as well as air and as well as water, and they are returned to the soil and they are returned to the air and as water after the death of plants and animals. So this is the major importance, because there were no decomposers. Then what is happening? All the dead bodies of, as I already told you in yesterday's class also, all the dead bodies of plants and as well as animals, they will keep on lying in such understanding without any damage. So that what is happening, all the elements of these plants and animal bodies, they are made up of organic matter and they will be never returned to the soils or air or else water. So in this case, what is happening? No continuous process of fertilizers, means organic fertilizers to the soil, so that plants cannot get the required minerals for the regrowth. So that what is happening? Absence of the decomposers, soil, air, and water, they would not get replenished by elements from the bodies of dead organisms like plants and animals. So that what is happening? Soil cannot become fertile in nature and it will never allow the production of crop. That is the main important thing. So all the nutrients present in the soil, air and water, they will be replenished, means again getting back from only whom? Only by decomposers. If there is no decomposers, they will be exhausted, and then what is happening? The evolution of life would come to the end, because if there is no producers are not getting enough sufficient nutrients to growth and produce the food back. So that what is happening? So the life will never be sustained, because if there is no producers by producing the food by photosynthesis, then the next no consumers will be present. So if no consumers, the life will come to the end at this earth. So that is why the decomposer organisms help in recycling the materials in the ecosystem, so that it will allow the life may go on, and like an unending chain, continuously it will make us to follow. So suppose, for example, today one plant is growing here, and this plant will absorb the required minerals from the soil with the help of roots. So now after 10-15 years, this plant will die and again it will become as a fertile, understanding, for the another plants. Means after its death, it will be decomposed by the decomposers and will be converting into a fertile for another plant. So that it is continuously recycling from dead bodies of plants and animals to the next. Again, the producers, they will observe, so that it will allow to get the food for everybody's, like including the consumers. Every consumer, they are getting food, means because of producers only. If no producers, no consumers will be survived. So it will be leads to the exhaust, and evolution of life would come to the end at this earth. So that is the importance of decomposers. So without decomposers, there is no cyclic recycling of ecosystem, so that it will lead to the complete end to the human life and as well as other animals. So that is the importance of, what is that? All the decomposers. So now, as I told you, two kinds of bacteria. What is the bacteria? First bacteria, anybody? So the first type of bacteria, if you notice it, that is putrefying bacteria. So putrefying bacteria means what? Putrefying bacteria, anybody? Putrefying bacteria means which will convert, understanding. So complex organic matter means dead bodies of plants and, please respond. So plants and animals into ammonia and other kind of substances like carbon dioxide and all. So now these ammonia cannot be useful for the plants directly. So it must be converting into what? Simple nitrates, which will help to grow the plants. So this ammonia converting into nitrates will done by nitrifying bacteria. Okay, guys, nitrifying bacteria. So these are the two bacteria which will be help us to, which will help producers to get the nutrients back from the soil, from the air, and as well as water. So please, all of you, note it down. So these are the two types of bacteria. And if they will ask you in exam, what is the importance of bacteria? What is the word you have to write? Any girl or boy? What is the main importance of decomposers? Single word you have to write it. What is that? It will be helping recycling. Recycling of what? Recycling of ecosystem. Do you understand it? So recycling of ecosystem by decomposing of dead and decaying of plants and animals. So that is only the main important thing of importance of decomposers. So please, all of you, write one point. Importance of decomposers. They'll ask you in exam, you have to write it. Importance of decomposers. It is only due to the presence of decomposers. It is only due to the presence of decomposers. It is only due to the presence of decomposers. It is only due to the presence of decomposers. It is the only due to the presence of decomposers that the various nutrient elements nutrient elements which were initially taken by plants, which were initially taken by plants, which were initially taken by plants, which were initially taken by plants from the soil, air and water. From the soil, air and water are returned to the soil, 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 comma, air and water after the death of plants and animals. After the death of plants and animals. Clear? Anybody having doubt, you can ask me. Clear, guys? Everybody, Dilipan, Arun Karthikayan? That is. So now, as I told you, who is, example, if you want to take, if you take the groundnut plant, so the bacteria is present, it cannot take the nitrogen from the soil and as well as the ground directly. So under the roots of this groundnut plant, so it will give the shelter to the bacteria. So because of that, it will do the favor to the groundnut plant and will help to fixing the nitrogen to grow the groundnut plant. So this bacteria, which will provide the shelter, and its name is called as rhizobium bacteria. So please remember nitrogen fixation. Understanding rhizobium nodules, we can say, are rhizobium bacteria on a groundnut root. So that is what you need to remember. If you plug the groundnut, you can notice it on the roots, it will be there. It will like a bumps, it will be present. So that is only we used to call it as rhizobium bacteria, which will help to fix the nitrogen in groundnut plants. Is it okay, everyone? So that is you have to remember. So without decomposers, we can say that there is no nutrient presence in the soil, air, and water. So soon it will be leads to what? Exhausted, and evolution of life would be come to the end. That is what you need to remember. So from that we can say that decomposer organisms help in recycling the materials in the ecosystem so that it will process of life may continuously go on like unending chain. That is what we need to understand. So this is the importance of decomposers. Anybody is having any doubt, you can ask me. So now if you understand this, then we are going to study the next concept. Is a very familiar one and very easy one. That is what? Food chains. So please all of you keep heading food chains. So once the meeting will end, please join back again. Okay. So now, good morning, Pranav, Nitish, everyone. So now this is what about the importance of decomposers. Definitely the questions will be similar to that only. Decomposers is one of the most important concepts. So learn very carefully that putrefying and nutrifying bacteria and etc. etc. So now coming to here, food chain. So as we know, what do you mean by food chain? Anybody can tell me? First of all, let me tell you, what do you mean by food? What do you mean by food? The chain, forget about it. What do you mean by food? Let me see. Anyone? Please respond. What do you mean by food? Why we should take food? At least anyone that? What do you mean by food, or why we should take food? So nobody will say. So what do you mean by food means anything which we can eat, which we will eat to live is only called as food. So I can say which we can eat to what purpose? To live or sustain is only called as food. Why we should eat for sustain? Because if you want to live, we need what? We need energy. So that this energy is present in this food. So that is why what is happening? The food means in the sense of we can say energy. So the food, whatever it contains the energy, it can be transferred. It can be transferred. As we know, energy, law of conservation of energy. Energy neither be created nor be destroyed. Only it is allow us to possible to transfer. The same way here, whatever the energy present in the food, it is allowing us to transfer from one organism to the other organism. So this transferring the energy through the food from one organism to another organism is only we used to call as food chains. You understand? So now the starting point of any kind of food chain, if we'll take, so where it will start, guys? Anybody can tell me where the starting point of food chain? Please respond. Don't be dumb fellows simply. So speak, communicate. So what is the starting point of food chain? Anybody? So what I'm saying you, food means what? Which we are eating to live is called as food, which will transforming from one organism to the another organism. That which one? Energy. That is only we used to call as food chains. So now I am asking, who is the starting point of food chain? Please, anybody. Who is the starting point of food chain? Please respond. First of all, if the food wants to transfer, it needs to be produced. So that who is producing food? Anybody? Who is producing food? If the food wants to transfer from one organism to another organism, somewhere it needs to be begins. So who will begins the food? That is what I am asking, guys. I am not asking anything. Tarani saying producers. Very good, Tarani. So the starting point of food chain is a category of organisms which we used to call as producers. So why? Producers only will produce, they will synthesize their own food by a process called as photosynthesis. So these are the producers, are the primary source of energies, which are in fact we used to known as a green plants, or simply we can say plants. So that is the starting point of any kind of food chain. Always every food chain will start with the producers which are known as green plants. So now we can say that All the food chain begins with the whom, guys? Arvind, Kevin, every food chain will begins with the green plants only. Nitana is there? Yes, that is. So every food chain begins with a green plant, which is the original source of all food. That is what? Whatever the variety you are eating, you might be eating biryani, you might be eating chapati, you might be eating your favorite dish, whatever it is. So all the things, the original source of all the food, who will be the original source of all the food? Green plants. So, for example, sir, I'm eating chicken. I cannot say my food chicken is prepared by plants, but the original energy, the original food is made from the green plants. That is transferred to the another organism. That organism is transferred to you, so that everywhere, whatever the food you have, it is always our original source of food is what? Green plants only. So now let us take some example to understand this meaning of this food chain so that you can understand more clearly. So for example, let me take a lot of green plants are there. So a lot of green plants means what they will do, guys? Yalamati, Bhumika, can anyone say? Please respond. If you have a green plants, what they will do? If you have a lot of green plants, what they will do? That is what I am asking. Yalini, please respond. If you have a green plants, what it will happen and what it will do? That is what I am asking. So if you have, suppose for example, you have a field. So now field of green plants, having a lot of green plants, what they will do? They will produce the food, correct? That is only I am asking. So you have a agriculture land, for example. So you're having a lot of green plants. So what is happening? They all will produce food, or else we can say producers of food. Now, plants can be eaten up by somebody who will be eat in our field. If we'll go, plants, we won't allow the animals. So that if we'll take, for example, rats. So rats will be eaten, some green plants will be eaten by the rats. Is it yes or no, guys? Please respond. Rat is a herbivorous animal. Yes? So it will eat, some plants will be eaten up by the rats. Now if it comes to here, these rat, it will be turns and it can be eaten up by the snakes. Correct? So if it is agriculture land, so these rats will be eaten up by the snakes, or else it will come to the home. So suppose grains you have been stored, suppose rice you have been stored. So these rice will be eaten by rat. Now, this rat, it will be eaten by whom, guys? Rats will be eaten by whom basically?